All right, so I'll try to keep this short and sweet, even though it isn't my strength. I mean, I could make a video an hour or longer about rock, paper, scissors strategy, but I wanted to talk briefly, hopefully, about the round two matchups for my replay of the 2010 Stanley Cup playoffs, with the variation, of course, that I'm not doing it by conference. I did 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, and so on, right down to 8 versus 9. So Washington, they finished first overall in 2010. They did defeat Calgary. They had a scare. They were up 3 games to none, and the Flames actually came back and tied the series, but then the Caps took it in Game 7. Their round two opponent will be the St. Louis Blues. And what's significant here, St. Louis, they upset second overall San Jose. They themselves finished 15th overall in the NHL, though they did not qualify for the playoffs because there were so many Western teams with strong finishes. They were just flushed out basically, and so you had teams in the Eastern Conference like Montreal who finished 19th overall that season, who ended up making it into the playoffs, even though their record wasn't as good as St. Louis's. So St. Louis, with this opportunity, with this all playoffs format, they made the playoffs, and they ended up upsetting San Jose actually. So they move on to round two, and I think significantly here for St. Louis as well. I mean, I could have talked, I guess, for Washington, obviously. Then you would have the big three being Ovechkin, Backstrom, and Alexander Semin. Probably they will go with Semyon Varlamov going forward in goal, just how the sort of the storyline played out there. I mean, it's a simple game, but sort of when I announced that I was switching Theodore to Varlamov, that's when Washington finally got their act together. St. Louis, on the other hand, a couple of names that I'll be thinking of going forward with the Blues are Paul Kariya and Keith Tkachuk, because actually it was the final season for both of them. And so I think that, if the storyline, if it could have continued this way, I could see that actually being like a storyline again in the hockey news about how this is Kariya's last hurrah, Tkachuk's last hurrah, that sort of thing. So they are definitely the underdogs against Washington, but they were the underdogs against San Jose as well. The next matchup that you have for round two, the high-seeded team for it is the Phoenix Coyotes. And Phoenix eliminated Ottawa to get here. They're taking Ilya Bryzgalov, and they'll face Boston. And Boston eliminated the Stanley Cup champions, the historic 2010 Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks. So Boston carrying a lot of momentum with them going into this one, which they will need, because Phoenix, as you can see there by their record, is a pretty strong team that season. And actually, numbers-wise, they're pretty even, except that Phoenix will be at home for the first 2 games, and their offense is significantly higher at home. And it's an interconference matchup in round two. Vancouver, on the other hand, you get Luongo and the West Coast Express, and they will be up against this upstart Los Angeles team that just this morning eliminated the defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. So it should be a good goaltending showdown between Roberto Luongo and Jonathan Quick going into this second round here. Los Angeles finished 9th overall, Vancouver 5th overall. And so finally what you have is the 6-7 matchup. The 6th overall New Jersey Devils, and of course led by Marty Brodeur and Ilya Kovalchuk that year as well. That was the first year that he came over to the Devils. And then, of course, you have Zach Parise and Travis Zajac, Jamie Langenbrunner, and so on. And the Detroit Red Wings, this is still with Datsuk, still with Zetterberg, still relatively young, still very relevant. I mean, Detroit was in the Stanley Cup final just the season before in 2009, and of course they won the Stanley Cup the year before that, finished the season with 102 points. So this wasn't the mid-2010s Detroit that was just, for whatever reason, trying to salvage and keep their consecutive playoff appearances streak together. This is still a very relevant championship contending team. So it'll be one of these 8 teams. Again, Washington, St. Louis, Phoenix, Boston, Vancouver, but Los Angeles, New Jersey, and Detroit. So one of those 8 teams will emerge the Stanley Cup champion in my all-playoffs replay of the 2009-2010 Stanley Cup playoffs. Feel free to leave in comments, actually, any predictions, who you think will emerge from round two with these round two matchups. Again, Caps versus Blues, Coyotes versus Bruins, Canucks versus Kings, and Devils versus Red Wings. Again, that's the 6-7 matchup there. So who will emerge from these second-round matchups, and also who do you favor at this point to win the Stanley Cup? I'd be curious to see that. And anyway, anytime, any consideration, that you give to anything like this, well, it's never expected. It's always appreciated. And that's just my way of saying I'm not a traditional YouTuber. I have absolutely no problem with YouTubers who are really good at YouTubing and saying things like, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button and stuff like that. It's not really my style. So literally any time that you give to this, if you're anything like me, I know that for several years before I made a Gmail account and went on YouTube that way, I would just view stuff anonymously. So if that's you, that's completely, fine and awesome too. Anyway, once again, thanks very much and cheers, thanks, and bye for now.